I can't even begin to tell you how dangerous this act is. First, it was passed in the middle of the night with 40 minutes to read an 800-page bill, which is unacceptable. As of January 1st, 2023, the following things will go into effect, and people need to be aware of this. It abolishes cash bail for almost every offense. This includes, but isn't limited to, kidnapping, armed robbery, second-degree murder, drug-induced homicide, aggravated DUI, threatening a public official, and aggravated fleeing and eluding. Offenders released on electronic monitoring have to be in violation for 48 hours before law enforcement can act. They could almost drive to Alaska before we can even look for them. It denies victims their constitutional rights. And keep this in mind, businesses and homeowners. Officers will no longer be able to remove trespassers from your residence or your businesses. Someone could decide to live in your shed, and all we can do is give them a ticket. You have to decide what level of force is required to remove them and whether or not it's legal. This is a massive threat to the residents of Orland Park, Cook County, and Illinois.
We can smell it. It's a bad stench of racism coming from that side of the aisle.
All right, guys. So according to Twitter, the purge is coming to Illinois. Okay, let's pray for those law-abiding citizens in Chicago because things are about to get much worse. There are about to be a lot of violent criminals released out into the public because of this new woke progressive criminal justice reform law that is going to take effect on January 1st, 2023. And I try to tell you guys time and time again, the biggest threat to our country is progressive criminal justice reform. There is no bigger threat to this country. Nothing else even comes close because that is what is allowing these criminals out on the streets and are costing us lives on a daily basis. So I want to talk about this law because this law, it's causing a whole lot of people to freak out, as they should, right? There is justified outrage over this, okay? Because I got a feeling that a whole lot of people are going to get hurt. A lot of law-abiding citizens are going to suffer because of this. But this is just par for the course when it comes to the Democrat agenda for this country. So without further ado, let's go ahead and play a news clip so you guys can get a better understanding of this law called the Safety Act, which is coming to Illinois that will get rid of cash bail in the state. Take a look.
First, in Illinois is set to eliminate the cash bail system, but Southern Illinois lawmakers and law enforcement say it could make communities more dangerous. Colin Bailey reports.
I believe the elimination of cash bail, particularly as it's written in the Safety Act, will reduce public safety and lead to more crime, particularly violent crime in Illinois.
Former state's attorney and current 118th District State Representative Patrick Windhorst tells me he voted against this bill when it came about. Windhorst says he was one of the leading voices against the Illinois Safety Act, legislation aimed at overhauling the state's criminal justice system.
I know in talking with prosecutors and law enforcement officers, they're really concerned that the public is going to point the finger at them and say, okay, why aren't you doing more about these offenses? And with this major change in the law beginning January 1st, a lot of their ability to do their jobs has been restrained.
And like Windhorst says, local officers like the Johnson County Sheriff agree with Windhorst.
Anyone sitting in jail right now with all these pending charges, they're going to be let out. The gates are open. They're going to be let out in the streets.
The bill passed with the support of upstate lawmakers. Proponents of the law say it's wrong to keep people locked up simply because they can't afford bail. According to Johnson County Sheriff Peter Sobchak, fewer suspects will end up going to jail. Only suspects involved in specific deadly threats could be held.
So it's really taking the hands out of the police even arresting people. We're going to end up calling someone saying, can we arrest them? Just because of liability, if you take someone into custody and it doesn't meet all the criteria, well, then you could get in trouble.
Sobchak isn't clear on how the law will be implemented. Representative Windhorst lists the offenses that won't involve detention before going to trial.
So there are a whole list of violent crimes: burglary, robbery, arson, kidnapping, almost all drug offenses. We've all even drug distribution, DUI offenses, even DUI offenses involving fatality, that do not qualify for detention under Illinois Safety Act. To me, that's going to mean a lot of individuals are committing crimes and being released, if not immediately, within a couple days.
In Southern Illinois, Colin Bailey, Live Local Now, Heartland News.
Illinois is the first state in the country to abolish cash bail.
Yeah. So what are some of the crimes here, the offenses that are not eligible for bail? Okay. As in, people are going to be able just to get out immediately, right? Aggravated battery, aggravated DUI, aggravated fleeing, arson, burglary, drug-induced homicide, intimidation, kidnapping, robbery, second-degree murder, threatening a public official. So apparently you can rob somebody, okay? You can be charged with second-degree murder, and they're not going to hold you. They're just going to let you back out on the streets. What could go wrong, right? What could possibly go wrong here? Somebody tell me, right? Somebody tell me what could possibly go wrong here. I mean, it's not like states like California and some of these liberal cities like Los Angeles and San Francisco haven't tried this already, okay? In which, those cities have become lawless hellholes. I mean, they just have. And it has become so lawless that they have even red pill progressive Democrats like Anna Kasparian of TYT, who, used to cheer for this type of stuff. Now she's vehemently against these type of progressive woke criminal justice policies. Take a look.
Los Angeles Times loves to carry water for the failed policies that we've been seeing from George Gascon in Los Angeles. They love it. They defend him all the time. But this is what they wrote. Del Cid had previously been arrested December 8th by Los Angeles County deputies from the Lomita Station booking records show. He was cited and released the next day. Records do not show the alleged offense, but it appeared to be a felony level crime. Okay, so we don't know the details of what that felony was, but he was released the next day after committing this felony crime. Okay, great. The Los Angeles Police Department's Harbor Division arrested Del Cid on February 10th, and he was charged 5 days later with burglary, domestic violence, assault with a deadly weapon, false imprisonment, and intimidating a witness. The crimes reportedly occurred on February 9th, records show. All right, these crimes are serious. He didn't just get caught with a baggie of pot, okay? He committed violent crimes. And by the way, the 180-day sentence is super short considering there's like kidnapping involved, domestic violence, intimidating a witness. These are serious crimes. Okay, so the initial sentence, 180 days, I would venture to say pretty short. I know there are people on the left that are like, no, not too short, 180 days, too long. Good that he beat up his wife. Okay, I'm embellishing a little bit, but that's how the left comes across when it comes to these types of stories. 180 days, he didn't even serve the 180 days. He was released the next day.
Yeah, so what is the response from the left to leftists like Anna Kasparian who are critical of the progressive criminal justice reform policies? Well, of course you're just a racist.
Session of the legislature hit a boiling point early Saturday morning as Doug Wolf reports debate over the state's so-called Safety Act resulted in charges of racism by Democratic state lawmakers against House Republicans.
For months, Republican lawmakers have bashed the so-called Safety Act that was pushed through the General Assembly by the body's Legislative Black Caucus in early 2021. Shortly after 4 in the morning Saturday, Democratic Representative Justin Slaughter pushed back on what he calls the steady drumbeat of lies.
Lies that all too often reek of systemic racism.
Law enforcement agencies who have felt demonized by the Safety Act have mostly sided with Republicans who are using the act as a campaign issue. Most of the provisions of the Safety Act don't take effect until next year, but police departments have seen officers retire, resign, or flee to other states. The GOP, pointing to an increase in violent crime across the state, did not sway Representative Slaughter.
But as long as crime and violence is contained in the hood, it was okay.
Republicans point to a no cash bail provision which starts in January. State Representative Patrick Windhorst decrying that type of release.
Serious, violent felons will be released after 48 hours after arrest.
When the debate reached a point that Republicans could not respond, Slaughter unleashed more charges of racism.
We can smell it. It's a bad stench of racism coming from that side of the aisle. We are literally in this crisis because of your failed lock 'em up, throw away the key policies.
Wow. Unbelievable, but totally believable stuff, okay? Democrats, once again, criticism of their progressive woke criminal justice reform policies is racist, okay? Apparently, it is systemic racism to say that, hey, you know what? I don't believe that second-degree murderers or people who rob folks, okay, that have been accused of robbery, I don't believe they should be out freely walking on the streets, okay? I don't think we should just be catching and releasing those people. Apparently, that makes you a systemic racist, which means that I'm a systemic racist. And if that's the case, fine, right? I will happily take that label because I would much rather be labeled a racist than to have criminals on the streets, murderers on the streets, or alleged murderers on the streets, right? I'm just saying, man, these Democrats don't care about law-abiding citizens. They cater to criminals and those who don't follow the law are people who don't want to be positive contributors to society. And for whatever reason, these people still continue to get votes. I mean, Justin Slaughter, the guy that's accusing Republicans of being racist for being in opposition to this, is from Chicago. Chicago, which is a crime-ridden city, right? They voted to be softer on crime, right? That's what they voted for. And for the life of me, I don't understand it. I don't get it. Is the accusations of racism against the GOP that powerful, right? So it doesn't matter what policies Democrats pass, whether or not it helps or hurts black folks. It's just to say that that party is racist. You guys just, you won't vote for them, right? Just because. Doesn't matter what the Democrats do. Doesn't matter how harmful their policies are. It's simply because the Democrats are willing to use the label of racism against the opposition party. That is what makes black people vote Democrat. I'm convinced that has to be what it is. I don't understand any other reasoning behind it. Because if I'm black and I'm paying attention to what's going on, how in the world can I vote for a Democrat? Knowing that they don't have my best interests at heart, especially when it comes to crime and protecting my community, being able to protect myself, which again is another issue in and of itself. Because the people that are really going to suffer here are, not just the people that's in, Chicago, right? That's already dealing with crime. It's also people in these rural communities who didn't sign up for this. They didn't sign up for this. Now the criminals have been emboldened. While at the same time, Democrats are actively trying to take away your Second Amendment rights. So it kind of is like the real life purge in the sense that you got the government releasing all the criminals into the streets. And now they're also saying, look, well, you don't need guns, right? We need to take some of them away. Okay? We need more restrictions on your ability to defend yourself against these criminals. Amazing stuff, man. If you're still voting Democrat in 2022, you need to get your head checked. I'm so serious. I don't understand what's going on. But let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a black conservative perspective. Peace.